It's happening September 15th to 21st. This isn't just another week. This is a turning point. In these 7 days, life will push you to see the truth about yourself, about the people around you. Things you've ignored will demand attention. Choices you've delayed will no longer wait. It's the kind of week where one decision could change everything. Most people won't notice. They'll move through these days as if nothing is happening. But you're different. You're here, and that means you're being prepared for something bigger. This third week of September is not random. It's a doorway, and once you step through, nothing will be the same again. So stay with me. First, do 3 things. Like this video, subscribe, and type 777 in the comments. Now let me tell you what makes this week so powerful. The sky is shifting in a way that doesn't happen often. Planets are moving into positions that create tension, like a bow being pulled back before it releases an arrow. That pressure, you'll feel it symbolically. This is the moment of release. Old cycles are ending, but before they close, they push against you one last time. That's why emotions may rise suddenly. Why you might feel heavy, restless, or strangely distant from people around you. This isn't random, it's alignment. The universe is testing your balance. Can you stay steady even when the ground feels like it's moving? And here's the truth. This week isn't designed to break you. It's designed to launch you. On September 15th, there is a hidden tension in the sky. The moon is moving past its last quarter phase, still glowing enough to cast shadows, yet beginning its descent into darkness. The light it reflects is fading, but that faint glow still reveals what has been hiding in dim corners of your life. You might see what you ignored yesterday now demanding your attention. Emotions that you kept whispering in your heart suddenly grow louder. This is the moment when masks slip. The moon in Gemini reminds you that parts of your mind still want to cling to old stories, old patterns. But this dimming light forces clarity. What will you carry forward and what must be left behind? On the 16th of September, the moon turns waning crescent in Cancer, shrinking further. Only about 28 to 30% of the moon remains lit, and its light is soft, vulnerable. With this softness, your inner world opens more easily than usual. You might feel protective of your home, of your memories, of yourself. Yesterday's clarity becomes today's emotion. Old wounds may ache. Relationships may feel fragile or people around you more sensitive. This moon in Cancer nudges you toward caring, toward healing what you have neglected. This day pushes you to look inward even when it hurts so you can start letting go. On 17th of September, the moon continues its waning crescent journey, showing only a sliver of light, about 20 to 25%. That sliver feels like hope, but also a test. In this narrow glow, your soul asks, what have you learned already this week? What have you changed? On this day, you might feel remnants of anxiety or nostalgia wash over you as the lunar light fades. That feeling isn't punishment. It's purification. The emotions around loss, the pressure of letting go of expectations, the yearning for something new. All of these become more visible when there is less light. This day challenges you. Are you willing to face the emptiness so you can be reborn? Reflect now in your life. Which habits, patterns, or relationships are you holding on to out of fear? Which stories about who you are do you keep repeating even though they no longer serve you? Think of a time in September past when something shifted without warning. A friendship broke, a job ended, a feeling changed. That shift taught you use what you learned then to guide what you'll let go now. You might feel heavy, nostalgic, anxious because cosmic light is dimming. So you can see what shadows you carry, and shadows always point toward growth if you let them. On the 18th of September, the energy begins to shape itself differently, almost like the world is preparing you for a rehearsal before the main performance. The moon is slipping further into its thinner stage, and that soft silver arc overhead seems to whisper about subtle choices. This is not a day for rushing through routines as if nothing has shifted. It's a day that encourages you to look carefully at how you spend your hours, because every small decision today sets up the momentum for what comes after. Imagine your life as a room filled with scattered objects. Some are useful, some are outdated, and some you've kept out of habit. This date asks you to reorganize. It doesn't demand dramatic change all at once, but it does call for honesty. What's worth keeping and what belongs outside the door? The symbolic thread of the 18th of September runs deeper than simply tidying your inner room. It carries the reminder that even the smallest step matters. Many people wait for the grand breakthrough before they move, but this moment reveals that breakthroughs are built through quieter adjustments. Think of a musician tuning an instrument before stepping on stage. It may look like a minor act, but without it, the music wouldn't ring true. In the same way, today calls for tuning your priorities, adjusting your inner strings until they resonate clearly. Ask yourself, Where have you been out of tune in your life? Not in a way that demands judgment, but in a way that invites alignment. On this day, you may notice conversations carrying more weight than usual. Someone's casual remark might highlight a truth you've ignored. A forgotten task may suddenly stand out as the thing that anchors the rest. Pay attention to these seemingly small threads. They're guiding you toward the adjustments you need. Energy now is like a compass nudging you gently but persistently toward the right path. If you're tempted to shrug off these signals, remember that sometimes the most ordinary signs hold the greatest direction. A friend's advice, a line in a book. Even the way the day unfolds may reveal exactly what needs your attention. As the evening approaches on the 18th of September, take a moment to pause and quietly ask yourself whether the life you are shaping is the life you actually want. It's not about rushing into big declarations. It's about checking whether the small steps of today are moving you toward the horizon you secretly long for. If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, begin to shift. Tonight's sky offers permission to redirect without guilt. Real strength isn't in pretending everything is fine. It's in adjusting course when you know there's a better way forward. Moving into 19th September, the atmosphere carries a different kind of current. The moon is thinning further, and with it comes an invitation to draw back your energy from the noise of the outside world. If yesterday was about tuning, today is about listening. Imagine you're standing at the shoreline and the tide has pulled back farther than usual. The sand is wet, revealing shells and patterns you never noticed before. That's what this day is like. Hidden details come to light. Things beneath the surface become visible, and you're offered the chance to understand them before the next wave arrives. It's a quiet but powerful moment of awareness. The symbolic meaning of this day is tied to clarity. You might realize that something you once thought was important no longer carries the same value. A relationship may reveal its real depth or its hollowness. An old ambition may feel out of place, replaced by something more aligned with who you are now. This is the kind of clarity that doesn't strike like lightning, but settles gradually like morning fog lifting to reveal the landscape. When it happens, there's no mistaking it. You simply see, and once you see, you cannot unsee. 19th September also has a way of pulling up nostalgia, as though your mind wants to take inventory of past chapters. You might remember old choices, friendships, or crossroads. Instead of being trapped in regret, let this be a chance to acknowledge how far you've come. Every detour carried its own lesson. Every delay gave you time to gather strength. Today isn't about judging your past. It's about recognizing the wisdom hidden in it. If you can do that, you'll walk lighter into the days ahead, no longer weighed down by what could have been. As night settles on the 19th of September, you may notice your thoughts becoming sharper, more focused on the path you're ready to commit to. This is a time to journal, to set intentions, or simply to be present with the truth that is surfacing. Energy now acts like a mirror, showing you not who you were, but who you are becoming. Let this reflection guide you. It doesn't require grand action tonight. What it asks for is honesty and readiness. The doorway to the next phase is opening, and these last hours of the day invite you to gather yourself before stepping through. On 20th September, the atmosphere shifts once again, almost as if the tempo of life changes to prepare you for a closing act. The moon is nearly at its darkest, and the absence of light carries its own strange kind of power. Instead of distraction, this date provides a canvas of stillness where deeper realizations can paint themselves. Think of it like the moment right before dawn when the world is hushed and the air is expectant. You may notice that your usual patterns feel less satisfying today, like they've lost their grip. That's no accident. This day highlights what is empty and what is authentic, asking you to release the noise and hold on to what truly matters. The symbolism here is deeply tied to endings that prepare for beginnings. It's as if the universe is clearing out a closet, so there is space for new clothes that actually fit you. That means some habits, connections, or mindsets may quietly fall away. Instead of seeing that as loss, think of it as a renovation. The structure of your life remains, but the details are refreshed. If you find yourself drawn to solitude, let it happen. This is not withdrawal. It's preparation. Even nature pulls back before it bursts into growth. Today is that kind of pause where silence becomes a guide. On the 20th of September, conversations may seem unusually revealing. A word from a friend, a message you stumble across, or even your own thoughts may point directly to what is closing in your life. It can be surprising to realize how clearly the truth has been waiting. The guidance here is to trust what surfaces. No matter how subtle, sometimes wisdom doesn't arrive in thunder. It arrives in whispers. If you can lean into those whispers, the day offers a profound sense of realignment. You'll know what no longer belongs. And more importantly, you'll sense what is ready to enter once the space is cleared. As the day draws to an end, 20th September leaves you with a choice. Do you hold on to what no longer resonates, or do you surrender it gracefully? The sky encourages surrender, not as a sign of weakness, but as a sign of readiness. Letting go now creates the very opening that allows new opportunities to find you. Imagine trying to catch rain with hands already clenched. You'd miss it all. This date teaches you to open your hands. By the time the night closes, you may not have all the answers, but you will have the clarity of knowing what no longer deserves your energy. Stepping into 21st September, the energy begins to shift toward anticipation. The moon is at its slimmest crescent, only a trace of light remaining, like a promise of what is to come. This date carries the energy of renewal stirring quietly beneath the surface. It's not the explosion of beginnings yet. It's the hush before the first note of a new song. There is a sweetness to it, as though life itself is leaning forward, waiting for you to make space for what's about to arrive. If you've been attentive to the previous days, this one feels lighter, cleaner, more open. Symbolically, the 21st of September represents integration. The lessons of the past week start weaving together, forming patterns that make sense only now. It's like looking at a puzzle. Piece by piece, it was confusing. But suddenly the picture emerges. On this day, you realize why certain endings were necessary, why old stories had to be left behind. That realization doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with a quiet knowing, a sense of alignment that speaks more powerfully than any dramatic event. This day is about trust. Trusting the journey you've been walking and trusting that what comes next is aligned with the truth you've uncovered. In the practical world, 21st September can show up as new ideas bubbling up, or a fresh motivation to start something you've delayed. You may notice you're drawn to conversations about the future rather than the past. Plans might surface naturally, not forced, as if life itself is steering you toward the next chapter. Pay attention to these sparks. They are seeds. They don't need to be planted all at once, but acknowledging them now sets the intention for growth in the weeks ahead. Think of it as marking the soil where you'll return to plant more deeply later. As night falls on the 21st of September, there is an undeniable sense that a cycle is closing and a new one is waiting to emerge. You've walked through tension, clarity, letting go, and now you stand on the threshold of beginnings. It's like standing at the edge of a stage with the curtain about to rise. The universe has prepared the scene, and all that's left is for you to step into your part. This day doesn't demand action immediately. It invites readiness. Be open, be attentive, because once the next cycle begins, the pace will quicken, and you'll want to move forward without the weight you've now released. On certain dates in history, the world feels like it pauses for a breathless second before rushing forward into something entirely different. The week you are walking into carries that rare pulse. The atmosphere is charged not in a way that knocks you down, but in a way that reminds you that the life you've known is not the final version of your story. What's unfolding now is not abstract philosophy or distant prophecy. It is an invitation written across the fabric of your days, waiting for you to step forward with both curiosity and courage. September has been guiding you through a sequence of subtle openings and quiet endings, and now the horizon looks different than it did only a short time ago. The rhythm of your days may appear unchanged on the surface, but beneath that rhythm, something powerful is arranging itself with remarkable precision. This is not the kind of week that allows you to keep moving on autopilot. It is the kind of week that asks you to recognize how far you've come, how far you're capable of going, and what you are no longer willing to carry. Think of your life like a book in progress. Each chapter holds its own texture, its own triumphs and losses, its own cast of characters. Many times we linger too long in chapters that have already given us their lessons, rereading the same lines, hoping the story will change. Yet the pages remain the same. And the longer we stay, the more we delay the arrival of the new. This turning point is the hand that reaches out to guide you toward the next chapter. Whether you think you are ready or not, the choice is not about clinging to what has been. It is about daring to step into what has not yet been written. People often underestimate how quickly transformation can happen. We are taught to believe that change takes decades, that growth must be painstaking and slow. But truth rarely works in such predictable timelines. A single decision made with clarity can rewrite the direction of years. One honest conversation can alter the future of a relationship. One act of courage can dismantle a lifetime of fear. That is why this week is so important, because it presents the rare kind of circumstances where those single decisions are amplified. They matter more. They echo further, and they open doors that cannot be closed again. Imagine standing in a crowded train station, Trains are coming and going, each bound for a different destination. For months, maybe years, you have been sitting on a bench watching them pass, telling yourself that one day you'll stand up and choose. Now, for the first time, the train you've secretly been waiting for has arrived and the doors are open. You can sit still and watch it leave, or you can rise and step inside. This is what the turning point looks like. Not loud or dramatic from the outside, but undeniable in its consequence. For many, this week highlights relationships. The conversations you have now carry weight beyond the words spoken. Someone's hesitation might reveal truths you needed to hear. Another person's encouragement may remind you of your strength. Even silence speaks volumes in times like these. Pay attention not through suspicion but through presence. The connections around you act like mirrors, reflecting both your growth and your resistance. Some bonds may tighten now, becoming even more essential to your journey, while others may begin to dissolve, not out of cruelty, but because their role in your story has reached completion. Work, ambitions, and goals also rise into focus. You may catch yourself reconsidering paths that once seemed unshakable. The roles you've played for security, for approval, for expectation, those roles are being tested. Ask yourself without fear, does this path reflect who I am now, or am I performing a version of myself that no longer exists? The courage to answer honestly is the beginning of freedom. True direction doesn't come from repeating what once worked. It comes from honoring what calls you forward. Now, the body and mind often resist these transitions by sending signals of unease. But those signals are not enemies. They are reminders. They tell you when you are lingering in spaces you've already outgrown. They tell you when the conversation you're having is no longer aligned with your truth. They tell you when the work you're doing is no longer worthy of your energy. Instead of ignoring those signals, let them guide you. They are the compass that keeps you from drifting too far from your authentic path. On the spiritual level, this turning point functions as a recalibration. Think of it as the moment when an artist steps back from their canvas, tilts their head, and realizes the painting is not yet finished. Adjustments must be made not because the work is flawed, but because the masterpiece demands more than what has already been given. You are both the artist and the artwork. In this metaphor, life itself is asking you to refine, to add strokes of courage, to erase the outlines of fear, to highlight the colors of truth. The piece is unfinished and you have the brush in your hand. Yet empowerment does not come solely from recognizing the need for change. Empowerment comes from acting on it. Knowledge without action is a closed door. It keeps potential trapped inside. Action, even small, even imperfect, unlocks the momentum that carries you forward. This week urges you not to remain a passive observer of your own growth, but to become an active participant. Even if the step is small, take it. Even if the path is unclear, move in the direction that feels honest. Waiting for certainty is a way of delaying destiny. Hope often arrives in the quietest ways. You might catch it in a sentence spoken by someone you barely know. You might discover it in a memory that suddenly looks different in hindsight. You might encounter it in your own words, surprising yourself with how much wisdom you've carried all along. Hope is not distant or elusive. It is already woven into the fibers of your everyday life. This turning point amplifies it, shines a spotlight on it, and asks whether you are ready to accept it as more than a comforting thought. Whether you are ready to let it fuel your choices. Think about the times in your life when you underestimated your strength. The moments you thought you could not move forward and yet you did. The nights you believed would never end. And yet dawn came. The challenges that felt like endings but turned out to be beginnings in disguise. This week is the echo of all those moments, reminding you that you have always been stronger than you believed. What lies ahead is not beyond you. It is waiting for you to remember who you already are. The climax of this season is not about perfection and it is not about control. It is about trust. Trusting yourself to choose honestly. Trusting life to catch you when you step out of the familiar. Trusting that what is leaving is not punishment but preparation. Trusting that what is arriving will not be too late, but right on time. Trust is not passive. So here is the challenge. Step into the version of yourself that this week is calling forth. Choose the conversation that scares you but will set you free. Commit to the path that excites you, even if it makes no sense to others. Release the ties that keep you performing a smaller version of who you are. And most of all, trust that by walking through this doorway you are not abandoning security. You are embracing destiny. And when you step forward, something extraordinary happens. You start to recognize that the path was waiting for you all along. The uncertainty that once seemed overwhelming begins to look like possibility. The obstacles that towered in front of you shrink into manageable steps. The voice inside that doubted your worth quiets down, making space for a steadier, more confident rhythm to emerge. It's not that the world suddenly becomes easier. It's that you finally stop fighting against your own truth. This is the moment when courage ceases to be an idea and becomes a practice. Courage is not about dramatic gestures or flawless outcomes. It's about showing up again and again, even when the outcome is uncertain, even when others don't understand, even when the familiar calls you back. Each time you choose to move forward instead of hiding, you are proving to yourself that you are ready for more. Think of this turning point as a seed being planted in the soil of your life. Seeds don't announce themselves with fanfare. They rest quietly unseen until one day they break open and transform into something that reshapes the entire landscape. That's the kind of power these days hold. The quiet yet unstoppable beginning of something you may not fully recognize now, but will one day look back on as the moment that altered everything. September 15th to 21st has been anything but ordinary. The third week of September carries a pulse that sets it apart, shaping days into milestones rather than routines. The alignments during this time have not simply hovered in the background. They've pushed growth to the surface, asking for honesty, courage, and a willingness to rise. What has unfolded is more than timing. It is the universe drawing a line between the past and what lies ahead. Moments like these rarely announce themselves loudly. They weave into daily life through choices, emotions, and realizations that shift the direction of entire paths. For some, it has been about recognizing relationships that no longer reflect who they are. For others, it has stirred ambition, lighting up roads they once hesitated to travel. And for many, it has been the reminder that growth does not wait for permission. It happens in its own rhythm, pulling you forward whether you feel ready or not. Hope has been the constant companion in these days. Even when uncertainty has hovered, there has been a quiet insistence that change is not to be feared but embraced. September's third week has not closed a door on you. It has opened one wider than you may have imagined. What you carry now is not only insight but power, the kind that turns reflection into action and intention into reality. So let's bring this together. Share what has resonated with you in the comments, because your journey may inspire someone else walking beside you. Subscribe to stay aligned with the weeks ahead and pass this forward to those who may need to hear it now. The story of transformation is still unfolding, and the next chapter will reveal even more than this one.